Brain Performance Center. Have you ever had a hard time starting a conversation with someone or just keeping a conversation going? It can be difficult, particularly if you're shy or if you're trying to communicate with people that you have nothing in common with. And I think that's why we like to text so much. I think texting is much easier than talking. And I think texting is great for some things, like logistics. I'll be home in 10 minutes. Please stop and get bread. But if you're trying to convey and connect with emotion, texting may or may not be the best way to do that. So I want to give you 3 tips to use to make sure that your texting is more effective. 1, make sure you put the right kind of information into the text so that it's understood and it's received as you intended it to be. Sometimes I'll get a text with 7 or 8 words in it, and actually it's a 5 or 6 sentence conversation. But with those few words, I really don't understand the meaning. I really don't know what they're trying to tell me. Or I'll get images. And I'm sure those images mean something to the person that's sending it, but it doesn't mean anything to me. So make sure that you say what you mean. The second thing is, before you send that text, stop and think about how will the person that receives it feel? How will they respond? If you think they'll be hurt by it, or if you think that it will make them angry, it may not be something that you want to do. It may just be something that if you just want to share your feelings at that moment and don't care how they get it and how they respond to it, that can be an ineffective communication. And the third thing, after you send that text, ask yourself, did that message really get what I wanted? Because maybe you were just caught up in a moment and just needed to express where you were at that moment, but it did not that you wanted what you wanted in the long run. So texting is hard. What makes communicating even harder these days is that we have to wear masks. And masks, whether you want to admit it or not, they do impair conversation. It makes it harder for us all to hear. And I don't know about you, but if I'm in a dark room or a room where there's lots of noise, I depend on lip reading. I look at somebody's lips and I read them to understand what the person is saying. Well, mask takes that away. So it can be hard to start a good conversation. But where it all starts is how you start that good conversation. The conversation is 2 or more people talking together in a comfortable way. And the best way to start it is with timing. You need to pick the right time. If you are interrupting somebody or catching them as they're going out the door, they're not going to be ready to stop and have that conversation. And sometimes, if it's a business matter, even schedule a time to talk, because timing is everything. The second thing that's important is eye contact. Make good eye contact when you're talking with somebody. Not only when you're talking, but when you're listening to them. When you're making good eye contact and you're listening to someone, it makes them feel valued and respected. And one way to start a conversation is to offer a compliment. Be positive. Compliments are always received in a positive manner, but you need to be sincere because people know when you're not. And sometimes people say, it's a lot of work to have a conversation. And yes, it is. You have to have something to talk about. You have to kind of stay on top of the news, movies, books, art. You need to have something to throw out to start a conversation around. Rule number 1, don't talk about politics and don't talk about religion, even when you think it's someone that shares your core values. When you're in a conversation, be present. Stay in that conversation. It takes 2 to have a conversation. Ask open-ended questions. Don't ask questions that can be answered with yes or no. Ask a question that'll get you a good response. And, most important in conversation is be an active listener. Give that other person the feeling that you really care about what they have to say. And focus on what you're hearing. I've caught myself in a conversation. I'm listening, but I'm already formulating in my head what I'm going to say back. Stay present in the conversation. I think the biggest mistake that I see in conversations is we overshare. TMI, too much information. And I think that happens a lot when we're nervous or we really want to impress somebody. And then after we do it, we both feel awkward. So before sharing information, ask yourself, is this relevant? The information I'm sharing, is it relevant? Get your crap, your clarity, your relevance, your accuracy, and your precision. I think that when you overshare information, you end up making judgments on people or their opinions, and nobody wants to be judged. We all want to be liked, you know? And, with a conversation, don't be scared by silence. Sometimes when it gets quiet, I think we all kind of, I need to say something. But use that time to refocus yourself and focus on the conversation and think about keeping that conversation in a logical sequence. Sometimes we go down the rabbit hole and we don't know, well, where did that conversation go? We should be able to stay present and make sure that conversation ends up from where it started. And I guess at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is be true to yourself. Just be yourself. Put energy into your conversation and you'll get a lot more back.